Dakika 17 baada ya saa 12 unaendelea kutazama Kenya's Gold bila wasiwasi. Karibu sana, kuna mengi tumekuandalia na usitake kwenda popote.
All right, now it is time for the Gold Conversation with the purpose of understanding more on preserving, taking care of our soils and why it's very important to do that. And to help us with that conversation, we're honored to have with us John Katila, Technical Field Officer, Real IPM Kenya. Now, before we get into the meat of the conversation, we would like to understand the work that is involved in IPM Kenya.
Thank you, viewers. My name is John Katila. I work for Real IPM. I'm in charge of Western Nyanza region. So Real IPM is a biological producing company that was initiated in 2003 with the aim of producing non-chemical crop protection mechanisms, starting from the bioproducts and also what we call the predatory mites. So we are looking at how we can really grow our crops with zero chemicals on a sustainable way, safe for human consumption, environmental conservation, and chemical-free zones and ecosystems.
Right.
Yeah.
Na kuna makala tumeandaa ilikuwa inazungumzia vermiculture. Na kuna mtu anashangaa bado hii inasaidiaje udongo?
Asante. Vermiculture ama ule ukuzaji nasikia mnatumia jina nyungu ama mlisema nyungu ama we call them naweza sema minyoo kwa lugha yetu ya kiasilia. Zile minyoo ambazo zinasaidia uvunjaji wa ile vyakula ili iweze kutoa ile mbolea ambayo mimea inahitaji. So ule mkulima ambaye anafanya kilimo cha vermiculture ni lengo lake kuu ni ule utunzaji wa udongo. Yafaa tuweze kukuza huu udongo urudi katika hali yake ya kiasilia. Ukiangalia ule udongo wetu mara nyingi utagundua kwamba sisi kama wale afisa ambao tuko nyanjani tunapata wale wakulima, unapata wako na challenge kubwa sana ya udongo. Udongo wao umeharibika. So tunatafuta ile mbinu ambayo itarejesha ile virutubishi ama ile rutuba iweze kurudi kwenye udongo ili mkulima aweze kufanya kilimo chake vizuri katika ile hali ya kilimo endelevu. Aweze kupata mavuno kila msimu, kila mwaka pasipo na kupoteza ile urutuba wa ule udongo. Ndio maana tukaweka haya makala ama tukaweka ile kitengo cha ile vermiculture, ukuzaji, na tunatumia pia vile vifaa ambavyo vinapatikana. Ukiangalia katika yale makala ambayo tumeweza kutazama, vifaa vile ambavyo vimetumika pale, maybe utaona maybe imetumika ni ile ya kahawa, lakini inaashiria tu kwamba ni vifaa ambavyo vinapatikana kule mashinani, ile ambayo mkulima badala ya kuvitupa anaviweka katika recycling mode, anavitumia kwenye kutengeneza mbolea ili kuweza kurutubisha nini udongo.
All right. Now since we are talking about saving our soils, inamaanisha kwamba mchanga yenyewe imeharibiwa.
Exactly.
So we would like to know what are some of these things that we do that lead to the spoiling of our soils, and we want it in two perspectives. What a farmer is doing that is damaging the soils, and also a person who is not a farmer that is doing something that is contributing to this damage. Please differentiate that for us and give us more details.
Okay, thank you. Looking at the farmer portfolio, now our farmers, when we do our day-to-day farming activities, you will realize that our farmers have that aspect of, I want to produce more. And whatever I'm doing should lead to productivity. And they fail on the aspect of growing the soil. Because when you talk about production, first of all, we need to look at how can we grow the soil before we get to production in terms of the crop yields. So what we are doing as farmers that is not giving back to the productivity is our farming practices. When we get like the synthetic chemicals and the synthetic fertilizers, we overuse them in our farms with the mindset of whatever I'm going to put in my farm will automatically be equated to production. So that is one thing that we do, and we kill what we call the beneficial microorganisms in the soil which support production in terms of crop production. Another thing that farmers do engage in terms of the vices is monocropping. You realize that year in, year out, a farmer is just doing one crop in that particular farm. Which is really degrading the soils, because you realize every crop has its own feeding depth. So if we concentrate on doing one crop for so many seasons, and then we downgrade that particular soil, so we need to come up with an integrative mode. And also we have a class of people who are not farmers. You'll realize that there's a lot of things that we do, looking at. We have what we call the natural reserved lands, maybe that can help us in harnessing the microorganisms, that can help us in actually harnessing the natural resources. But as the population grows, we go up to the point of now consuming that reserved lands. And then we don't have any land left for us to have that, what we call the natural bioreactors that are present in the soil. Another thing that we do, we engage in a lot of minings. We expose our soil into a lot of explosive reagents that actually downgrade the fertility of our soils. And then also what we do in terms of dumping our garbage. You realize that we've just been having a system where we can just dump anything anywhere, not knowing that whatever we are dumping, that garbage class, maybe is a plastic, maybe is a glass, it will also impact on the soil. And then we are doing a lot of what we call the soil sealing. Soil sealing, it means we are earthening up the soil, and then we are filling where it is not supposed to be. So we are bringing up segments and siltations where are not supposed to be. So at the end of the day, we are losing the very viable nutrient and ingredient cast of that particular soil. Farmers also engage in a lot of afforestation. They cut a lot of trees. I'm happy we are a national event. We are going to do a lot of tree planting because that one will also play a very major role in terms of bringing our soil back. Because we are going to actually control a lot of erosions that actually bring up loss of our soils, fertility, and also that conserved nature of our soils. So there's so many that we cannot exhaust in this particular discussion. But with time, we'll go on and get to know what vices we are doing that is really downgrading our soils, that are making it not productive per se.
Umetaja sana kwa urefu na kwa undani kuhusiana na matatizo ambayo yanatokea. Suluhisho iko wapi ili kukinga hii isifanyike? Asante.
Unapotazama kwa mfano, tunaposema tunatumia kemikali kwa wingi katika kilimo chetu, hiyo kemikali inaanza kuua vile virutubishi hai ambavyo viko kule kwenye mchanga. Na virutubishi hai vinapokufa, ule mchanga hauna afya tena. So ndiposa tumekuja na mbinu kama hii ambayo tumeweza kuitazama kwenye televisheni yetu. Tukaona kutengeza ile mbolea ambayo inaweza kutusaidia katika kurudisha vile virutubishi hai kwenye udongo. Vile vile pia, kando na hiyo, kuna ule utunzaji wa mmea. Manake utapanda lile shamba lako ukitumia mbolea ambayo umetengeza kutoka kwa wale wadudu tunaita nyungu-nyungu. Kisha uje uanze kutumia kemikali kutunza ule mmea. Utapata zile chembe-chembe za kemikali zinapoguzana na mchanga pia zinaleta ile hali ya kuleta ile tindikali ya juu, ama tunasema high acidity in the soil. So at the end of the day, we are not having a productive soil. So what we are doing now as a company, now we are coming up with products that are chemical free, that can help a farmer in production. Products that can also grow whatever the microorganisms are in the soil. Instead of killing them, it empowers now the microorganism. And once we empower the microorganisms, we have our compost put in the soil. It means now we are moving to the sustainable scope of now having that particular soil producing every year and every season.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, still in the spirit of saving our soil,
yes,
with the trips that we do to different farmers across the country, we have seen them, use simple means to help in save the soil when the acidity is high and stuff like that. So you find some are using lime. Recently we saw someone top dressing with charcoal.
Wow.
And these are just ways that they have created for themselves. So we'd like to hear from you, what more can farmers do that is easily, accessible to them when it comes to saving the soils, putting in mind these different ways that they're already using at hand?
Good. When you talk about soil amendments, now we are now talking about amending the soil that has already been depleted. We are looking at what are we amending in this particular soil. If at all you are targeting acidity, and then it means now we need to look for an acid that we use in the soil. And one of it is the liming agent that farmers do adopt, that is all over, they can easily apply in their soils. Another procedure is when we embark on what I had said initially, we started doing crop rotation. When we adopt crop rotation, it is a principle that can help us have that fertility maintained, because we are looking at how can we grow several crops in terms of biodiversity. Instead of us just doing monocropping, we look at now growing various crops because of the root harnessing nature, where now the root gets its nutrients. Looking at what practices the farmers are doing, also, you said the farmer was doing the charcoal.
Yes.
What does the charcoal contain? The charcoal contains carbon. Carbon, when it comes to feeding of the microorganisms, then we say we can have the coal because it is a nutrient for microorganisms in the soil. But are we really harnessing the problem of acidity? So farmers really need to get sensitized in terms of how can we properly maintain and conserve our soils, looking at what problems they want to solve. So if at all we are looking at the pathological problems, we are looking at the problems that are affecting maybe the soil has a lot of diseases and what have you. And then we need to come up and look at what products can we use that are selective, that can only go for the pathogen and not affect any other microorganism that is helping the farmer in terms of production. We have the unseen families in the soil. So unapotazama hivyo, utazingatia kwamba yule mkulima lazima tu apate ujuzi kutoka kwa afisa wa nyanjani ambaye atamwelekeza kujua kikamilifu ni lipi anastahili kufanya. Je, ni tindikali iko juu kwenye udongo? Yes. Sasa atatumia mbinu gani? Maanake unapata wakulima wako na changamoto tofauti. Yangu pengine ni ile acidity content. Na yako pengine wewe unapokuza mmea kama nyanya, mmea wako haufanyi vizuri.
So still on that,
yes,
where soils have different needs.
Yeah.
As a new farmer, probably I don't have that much experience.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do, or what will I look out for that will give me the signs of, yeah, there's a problem with this soil? And also, how are we working with the soil testing bodies to make sure that this is information that really reaches the farmers, both experienced and new ones in the game?
Okay. Jambo la kwanza, the first thing is, as a new farmer, when you buy any land anywhere, my advice is you need to have the history of that place, because there's a reputation of any given ecological zone of that particular area. Like whatever they do most, whatever they produce most, before getting there, you first of all need to get the history. Jambo la pili, now that one comes to the officers wa nyanjani. Wataangalia aina ya kwekwe ambazo ziko mahali pale. Aina ya kwekwe itakuelekeza aina gani ya mimea inaweza fanya vizuri pale. Ni aina gani ya chakula kinaweza kuzwa vizuri pale. Jambo la tatu, kuna afisi ya kiserikali ya kilimo. Ambapo wakulima wanaweza tembelea kule pia. Unajua mkulima ndiposa aanze kutafuta suluhisho, jambo la kwanza amejaribu kile kilimo. Na ameona maybe things are not working out for me. So he will go to get a solution for that.
Okay.
And then he will reach the extension officers within that locality.
Okay. All right, so we will be continuing the conversation with John, but for now we take a short break. Don't go anywhere, because when you come back, of course, we do have Gold Highlights, what is happening in the space of agriculture, and we also do have Agri Nation. Do stick around for that. See you after this break.